Hey, and welcome to today's Capital Raising Toolkit session. We're going to cover startup valuations today. It's an area that's really a challenging thing for early stage founders right up to Series A. After that, it gets a bit easier. You have more metrics, there's more financial analysis and projections that are possible. But in the beginning, it's really hard. Founders can get stuck on it. It can be issued with the ESOP, can be issued with the first few rounds. So yeah, we've got some ways to make it much easier. And we're going to go and cover that now. Here we have the Capital Raising Toolkit. This is a whole bunch of tips and tricks and step-by-step guides that we put together to help founders to save. The goal is to help them raise at least 50% faster. So clicking through the GST section here, we have our valuation area. So here you can see 4 types of valuation that can be relevant for very early stage founders: current revenue multiplier, valuation by stage, future valuation method, and the Berkus method. We'll start with the Berkus method first. So in the very early stages, when you're really early on and you haven't really got revenue or growth or anything yet, the Berkus method can be, the preferred option. You give yourself a score between 1 and 10 for each of those 5 factors, multiply that out by 500,000, add it all together, and you end up with a valuation somewhere between 1 and 2.5 million. Really simple way to value your equity early on. It's great for helping with things like sweat equity for very early stages, how to remunerate advisors, how to handle the amount of options that your first couple of hires can get. And it really does take away a lot of the gray area and a lot of the challenges that, those pre-seed stage companies can have around the valuation. The future valuation method, it's implemented, normally for sort of later stage companies, when you sort of look forward, whether it be 1, 2, or 5 years, and then you discount back that valuation to today's valuation. Valuation by stage is another qualitative valuation method. You can do it very quickly, and what it's designed to do is remove a lot of the huge financial models that you can sometimes see with these really early stage founders, and just give you a really simple way to work it out based on the stage that you're at. Another way to do it is a revenue multiplier. So obviously you have to have some revenue. So this is probably more seed and Series A stages where your ARR could be at 200K or 500K or $1 million. Just multiply out that annual recurring revenue by a multiplier that makes sense in your country and in your industry. Then multiply out your non-recurring revenue, so your non-SaaS revenue, by a much lower multiplier, so 1 or 2, and that'll give you your valuation as well. So they're all really quite simple. Berkus method's the simplest. Valuation by stage, very simple again. The revenue multiplier is really quite simple as well. And the future valuation method, probably the more complicated of the 4, but still really not too bad. Now, what we've done here is we've given you a spreadsheet that'll help you to do this. So all you have to do is click that link, come in here and make yourself a copy. And then you can actually go and complete this template. I think you could do it as quick as in an hour and as slow as in a couple of days. And it's really going to help you a lot to overcome the valuation process around your startup. So, you can see here at the top, the 4 valuation methods are there, and you might want to actually do a weighted average of multiple valuation methods depending on where you're at. So, in this case, you might not have any revenue, so you would leave the revenue multiplier as 0. You might have a 50% weighting on the stage and a 50% weighting on the Berkus method because you're a quite early stage company. So then we come down here to the Berkus method. You can see here we've already entered a score of 7 for each of these. Just so you can see how it works. If we change this to a 4, that'll go down. Just say the idea is a real ripper, that'll go up. And so the overall result there is 1.75 million for the Berkus method. So that should flow through up to the top here. One other thing to note is there is a country multiplier. So if you're in a country where the valuations are a bit higher and down the bottom it explains the multiplier, you might want to just add a little multiplier in here. Just happens you might be in the US or whatever, for example. So then once you've done the Berkus method, you would come down here and you can do your by stage method. So just say here, you say we have some revenue, ARRs at 100K, and we have we've got a strategic partnership, and we're about to open up a new country. So because of all that, we're going to go down here to the valuation by stage and say, look, we're live and we have revenue, and we're growing our revenue because we're about to open up a new market. So, but we haven't opened up the market yet, so we're going to give ourselves a 5.5 million valuation. So then you can link that up to the top here as well, and then it'll give you a weighted average of those two valuations, and you have a 3.625 valuation for that startup. So that's just a really quick example. I guess I don't want to spend too much time going into all the detail, but what you have there is 4 simple valuation methods and a simple template. If you do need any more help working through that template, make sure you ask one of the Cake team. We're always here to help. And that's one great tip from the Capital Raising Toolkit. Good luck with your raise.